guys, welcome back to a new video, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to shoot the perfect knuckleball. Alright, so the first part to any free kick really is going to be the run-up. So with the run-up, it doesn't really matter how many steps you take back or to the side. All that really matters is that it's comfortable to you. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you what I do personally, but just know this is not the exact thing that you have to do. Basically, you should try and find your own run-up because that's what's going to work the best. So for my run-up, I usually take around 5 steps back and 3 to the left. Most people take 2 or even 1 to the left. I generally take 3 because the later steps you're going to find that it actually helps out to hit it more with your instep, and which gets you the knuckleball / topspin effect. So that's what I do, but just know you can pretty much do almost any run-up. Just make it so it's not too long or too angled, and you should be fine. The next step to the free kick is where to hit the ball with your foot. Now, the first thing you should know is just like the run-up, there's a lot of different ways to do this. I personally use a lot of instep in my technique, but when people first start out the technique, they find that using their laces is easier because that's how they're used to hitting the ball. But once you get on to maybe the more advanced technique, you're going to see that more people use a lot of their instep rather than their laces. It's not 100% necessary, but I do think in order to get the best knuckleball and have the most consistency, I think this is an important part to doing a knuckleball. So the next step to any free kick is going to be where you're hitting the ball. So what you want to be doing when you're shooting a knuckleball is hitting the ball dead in the center. If you hit too much to the side, you're going to get spin, which you definitely don't want. If you hit too low, you're going to get backspin, which is not going to get you the dipping effect. It's just going to rise up. And if you hit too high, it's going to give you a topspin effect, which is good, but it's hard to master, and a lot of times it'll just roll on the ground and you won't get any knuckleball effect. But what a lot of people like to do is either use the valve or a logo on the ball to mark out the center so they know exactly where to hit it. Just know once you get better at this technique, it's not necessary, but maybe for an in-game situation, if you want to be as consistent as possible, this can be something that might be good. A lot of people say the follow-through is the most important part of this technique, but I personally wouldn't agree with that. All you really have to know is to make sure that you're really canceling your follow-through and stopping it as short as possible. Some people say that you want to swing your leg to the left after you shoot, but for me personally, that just gets me side spin or even curve, and it just makes it harder to hit an accurate knuckleball. What I would do is I would focus on hitting it with your instep and going directly up on the ball instead, and just focus on making it as quick and short as possible. So really, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. If you hit it to the side, it's going to have a spin effect. If you hit it too low, you're going to get backspin, and if you try and hit up on the ball, you're going to get either a knuckleball effect or even topspin. So now I'm just going to tell you a few tricks that may help you out when you're shooting your knuckleballs. One common question that a lot of people have is, does the ball matter? In reality, it doesn't really matter what ball you're using. I would say that balls from like the 2010, 2006 range are going to be better for knuckles, as you're going to see more effect when you actually shoot it. But if you have mastered the technique, there really isn't a ball that's going to help you knuckle any better. When you start out learning this technique, what I would do is maybe go like 12 yards out from the goal and just practice shooting with little power. So what you want to be doing is almost trying to pass the ball into the net, but with a lot of power, because essentially that's what a knuckleball is. Once you notice that you're starting to see little or no spin on the ball, then you should try and move back a little bit and put a little bit more power on, so you can then see the crazy movement or even some topspin. Another thing that might help is actually filming yourself. This way you can compare your technique to people that have mastered the technique and really know what they're doing. Then you can find out whatever your errors are and try and fix them. Another thing I want to point out when you're shooting is just something that a lot of people do, and is the biggest reason why they can't actually shoot knuckleballs. A lot of times when I teach people this technique, they generally get the follow-through right, but when you pause it right when they shoot, they hit it a lot with their laces. Some people say that your foot contact area doesn't really matter, but in my opinion, I think using instep is definitely the best way, and it's going to give you the most consistent and accurate free kicks. Another thing that I see a lot of people doing, especially on YouTube, is they use deflated balls. I'm not talking about like totally flat, but even if it's at like 5 psi, just a little bit under the normal, it makes it a lot easier to shoot free kicks, and it's just not really knuckling the ball. A lot of times I see people using a flat ball and they can knuckle fine, and then I give them a ball that's more pumped up, let's say, and they can't really knuckle at all. Make sure that you're not using deflated balls. Alright guys, that's it for my knuckleball tutorial. Let me know in the comments if it helped you out, and yeah, see you next time.